Good morning, good afternoon, good night, my dears. Welcome to the Worldwide Podcast. And that's actually an amazing episode. You guys, you listeners, you've been waiting a lot to hear from this country. But before introducing our amazing guest for this episode, I just want to ask, how's Guilherme? Where have you been, bro? Still in Chile? How's it going? How's the vibe right there?
Hey guys, I'm still chilling in Chile. Yes, yes. And there's only one thing in my mind right now, which is the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like, João, have you seen it?
No, I've got to watch. It's on my bucket list, bro. I mean,
I'm
I
gonna
was
make a
about to go
statement.
to the movies. I was about to go to the movies this weekend, but
Go after this recording. Like, I'm gonna make a statement. It is the best animation movie ever made and comic book movie. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I only have that in my mind because I watched it 2 days ago. But also, in other news, other like nerdy news, the new Avatar cast was already also uh publicized who are going to be the characters, and I'm so fascinated by that because I'm a big Avatar fan. The Aang story, not the blue guys.
yeah, not the blue
So
guys.
not the blue guys. And yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. But going into our podcast, South Korea, and introducing our guest, Heeyoung Kim. How are you doing, Kim? Please introduce
I'm
yourself.
good. I'm very excited to talk to you guys. And thanks for inviting me first. Yeah, I'm so
For
excited
sure.
to share my
For sure,
story.
for sure.
Sure,
Let's get to it.
we appreciate it.
One thing, like, I think probably it's going to be Japan, but I think South Korea is now the most popular country in Asia in terms of pop culture and media, which is kind of
hmm
interesting because it wasn't like that like a couple of years ago. Because I remember being 12, I think the biggest starting point in this media turnaround in South Korea was, I think everybody will remember, Gangnam Style. That was the craziest thing
hmm
that happened to South Korea. Like everybody from that point onward knew about South Korea. But before that, I think it was still a very developing country in terms of creating, let's call it media and cinema and all that, because Japan was very big, especially with the horror scene, with the J horror, with Ringu and Juan. But South Korea was still a little bit underground. Do you think that what caused this like turnaround in media for South Korea, especially with Gangnam Style?
That's very interesting questions, and I am thinking about it. Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and that's really interesting point to me as well because really feel that way. I really feel that the fever is growing up and it's getting really bigger. But I don't think there was like a point that changed everything, that changed the game. But
Mm.
it was, we've been keep doing this for the for years, and yeah. So this is what we've been doing. This is not we didn't change anything. I'm not. I will not
Yeah,
say that we did it, but I will like. Well, Korea haven't done that, and I think people started to appreciate it, or
yeah,
sometimes there's a trend, and maybe Korean culture is on trend right now.
Yeah, globalization, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because people think that K-pop is really fresh, but I mean, I'm wondering, like, you've heard K-pop bands since you were a kid, so the only difference is like it wasn't spread to the world. So I guess
yeah. I think the
Of
globalization
course, of
came in
course.
the
favor
trends.
of, spreading the culture to the world.
The term that K culture or K-pop, heard it since when I was like 10 years old or 13. But back then, when some people talk about like K-pop, or we say Hallyu, which means a string of K
Hmm.
culture. And when some people talk about a K culture in Hallyu, there's always some people who always like talk about bad things, right? And those people always talk about, yeah, only we know about the culture. Only Korean people appreciate like our culture, and there's nothing like a K stream or K fever. There was people talk like that back to 10 years ago, but now obviously it's not true anymore.
Yeah, and like with globalization, I think K-pop has the biggest fandom out of anyone. Like especially
Yeah.
in the pop community, like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, all that. I think K-pop still wins. It's insane. They will defend these people until they die.
It's insane, man.
It's the craziest fandom ever, and that fascinates me. And a lot of them are not even Korean, which is another very interesting point. Like I remember even a lot of Portuguese people make constant videos of just doing reviews of K-pop music and K-pop culture in general. And again, with Spain, Germany, all this globalization made K-pop so big outside of the country, and now it's like the biggest thing ever. And I think that is really, really fascinating. And I don't even know how that happened, but again, yeah, it's how you said trends, people knowing a little bit more about the country, the global, the Gangnam Style craze, all of that, and
Yeah.
now South Korea, the
Yeah.
biggest media country in Asia,
It's happening with the
Hmm.
movies right now, you know, having a
and now
South
it tapped into
Korean
the cinema.
movie winning an Oscar for the best picture. That was 10 years ago. If you could tell anyone who's living right now nowadays, they would think you're getting crazy or kind of stuff. So that was an amazing winning for the country and for this globalization culture that is happening to the world right now. It was pretty cool, which is an amazing movie. Prioritize it. It's crazy, crazy good movie.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
and not just Parasite. Now you've got like Train to Busan that many people
Yeah,
outside of Asia say this is one of the greatest zombie movies ever. And again,
Squid
into the horror
Game.
scene, so
Yeah,
much more. Yeah, Squid Game.
yeah.
Like
Well,
it's
actually, I'm sorry.
go go
Actually,
go
about the
go.
train to Busan, I like to ask you guys a question because I'm from Busan. So,
Oh,
to my
Oh,
amazing.
students,
amazing.
yeah, like this reactions, when I tell other people that I actually am from Busan, then they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw a movie. I saw a train to Busan." For me, to be honest, that was one of the Jumia movies actually, but I guess like for other people, that was something special about the movie. So I like to ask, what was special about it?
For me, is the like horror things aside, it's just a quality and an emotional movie altogether. The pacing is amazing. It's also focuses more on the people than the zombies itself.
Yeah,
And I guess you kind of also see a little bit of the Korean culture, which is always interesting from people from North America or Europe that they don't know much about. So it's always interesting to see how these cultures behave when something unexpected happens. And I think it's portrayed stunningly. Absolutely.
for you. And the history behind the characters, it was amazing to tell and get to know more about the culture. And the horror scene, it was pretty cool, actually.
Mm.
But this history, trying to bring more about the culture of the country to the history along aside, it was pretty cool. And I love it.
Yeah.
And,
And put
the
it on the
Koreans are doing
mainstream.
this actually pretty good. I mean, those Korean Netflix series, they they focus on the history, and you can take an example with the Squid Game. The history is stunning and it's amazing, but the storytelling behind the characters are pretty cool. I mean, the storyline
Yeah.
of this guy from I guess this immigrant in the Squid Game. I guess I forgot the country he was from. I guess Bangladesh, and he was from Bangladesh, and he was trying to get money right there. And then you got to know that there are lots of people from Bangladesh right there in South Korea actually speaking Korean, which was pretty cool. The storyline was amazing, amazing, and the
Actually, the
Koreans are
actor
actually
and
doing
I
this pretty
went to the same school. I saw that actor a few times on our campus.
Oh, you see.
What? Really?
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I never talked to him personally, but I saw him a few times. And a popular opinion, I never watched Squid Game. So I just watch it like I watch his face on the news or on a video clip or something like that. But I was very excited to see him because that's a face I know.
I know this
Um,
guy. Amazing.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
also speaking of horror movies, I think do you guys like horror movies in general?
Well,
He's
I
into
think the
horror movies.
audience will know I'm a
Or you're
fanatic with
into
horror
horror?
films.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
fanatic. Absolutely.
Then you
My
must
biggest
be
love.
watch, yeah, so many horror movies, right?
Yes.
Do you think there is a difference between like Asian horror movies and Western, like kind of like a horror movie from America or European country? Do you see the difference when you
That's the
watch
question he
them?
Absolutely.
wanted. That's the question he wanted to hear
Question
for
of my
every
life.
of his
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
life.
Now,
He's
now
in
the answer is
love
going to
with
turn
horror
into 3 hours.
movies.
No, no, no. Very simple. Very simple. I think, especially because I grew up with J horror a lot,
Mhm.
watching movies like again Ringu and Juwan and One Missed Call. I forgot the Japanese titles, but all those movies have one thing that are very predominant, which is the visual aspect. Asia builds horror based on visual, which again Thailand does as well, Korea does as well, and it scares the audience with, first of all, very dark themes. In Japan is usually the suicide and all that parts, but again it's with this visual sensation that it's terrifying. I mean, if you look at Samara from Ringu or the girl from Juan, they're just horrifying. And also a little bit of the sound effects when they enter a scene, when they exit, when someone gets killed, all those things build on this terrifying tension that the movie then creates on mostly on the visual aspect then. And Korean horror, I even think it's a little bit different than Japanese horror or Taiwanese horror because it has an amazing storytelling, which, I mean, all these J horror films are great, but their storytelling is not the greatest. But Korean horror, especially like Parasite, I think Parasite can count as a Korean horror. But all those
Yeah.
films just have a beautiful story, and they're also terrifying. So, and it's still growing. So I'm very excited for the next, uh, let's call it batch of movies that comes out from Korea. Do you like it?
Mhm.
The
But
horror
like
movies from
horror
Korea?
movies? Actually, when I grew up, my mom is a big fan of horror movies, so I
Yeah.
too watched a horror movie with my mom when I was 6 or 7 years old, which didn't really good for me back then. So I have a kind of intentional, like kind of like a fear in my mind every time right now, to be honest. But anyway, I when I grew yeah, growing up, I watched a lot of horror movies and yeah, but that was a very interesting analysis because I think a little bit different. I think what the core of the Korean horror movie is emotion or the story behind the character. For me, when I watch a horror movie or horror film from America or yeah, America or other European country, it feels like it was an accident. It was an accident that people meet that ghost, or it was an accident that someone met those serial killer or something, right? There was nothing wrong that they've done. But in Korean movie, of course, they're an accident, but it's like paying and back. You know what I mean? It's like they've done that before, so they're getting back
They
what they've
deserve
done.
It's the karma.
Yeah, like a
Yes.
karma, like a
karma.
karma.
Uh-huh.
And in Korean, there's an actually word, um, like han, which is an emotion of unresolved emotions of anger and sadness and every complex feeling of negative feelings. And when you die, when with the emotions unresolved, you will have the emotions han. So in
Amazing.
Korean movie, back to 10 years ago, back to 15 years ago, most of the characters, most of the that ghosts or like some that horror characters had the han emotions, and I think that's my analysis. Yeah.
I Now that you talked about it, I absolutely agree because the first thing that came to my mind when you were talking about these like karma situation was the curses. All the movies that I
Hmm.
mentioned have a curse, and this curse comes because they've done something wrong,
Yeah, of
which
course.
is so interesting now to think about it. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Like, yeah, an American movie, most of the time is just pure accident. They are in the wrong place at the wrong time,
Happens
or
to the
Yeah, they
little
didn't. They
girl.
shouldn't have opened the door, right?
Yeah,
yeah, some
yeah,
dumb stuff like that. Whereas the
Yeah.
Asian is more based on the culture and on the karma that someone like miswrongs the culture or something
which
towards
makes
them.
lots of more sense actually.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
What an
Now I'm just
amazing
like
point. Yeah,
setting in a little
yeah.
bit. Yeah,
Reflecting.
yeah,
Yeah, trying to throw
yeah.
back to the movies and think, like thinking about Parasite and also Squid Game always happening. Oh wow, crazy, crazy, amazing, amazing.
Ton of characters. Yeah.
Like about
Now,
the Parasite 2. I'm sorry.
no, no, go.
Yeah, about the Parasite 2. Those rich people did something. Yeah, they were like they're not an assholes, but they're a little bit,
There were
did a rich
assholes.
people thing,
Yeah,
right?
they were dicks.
So
There were
so
assholes.
they got yeah, so they got back what they done before.
Hmm.
So I think Korean because that's a basic mindset behind the Korean people's thoughts. I think we are even though our national religion is not a Buddhism, but like in our mindset, we all have that kind of lessons from Buddhism. So most of people believe in karma.
Mm. Is South Korea a religious country? Actually, I've never heard that much about religion regarding South Korea. I guess maybe it's because it's such a developed country and has so many big cities, and normally when that happens, the cities are not that religious in terms of technology. Um, would you say there's a predominant religion in South Korea, or
Yeah, shamanism is very predominant.
Shamanism.
shamanism? And
Shamanism and Buddhism,
what is shamanism? I'm actually
because we believe so many myths. And for example, we have really big test for the university entrance.
Mhm.
And before 100 days ago, before that big test, a lot of parents, especially mothers, go to temple to pray, and they do bow 300 times every day. It's very common, wishing for good luck for their kids, something like that. And some other stuff. There's so many things like that, so many myths. And even though we are not religious country, we have so many temples, but we have more churches though. It's another it's another side of the society. But still, yeah, so many temples. And it's something that we basically have in our mind, that kind of, the myths and shamanism or Buddhism. Yeah, something like that.
No, and that shapes the culture. Especially, I know a little bit more about Buddhism. Especially for Thailand, it like
Mhm.
the people they're so much nicer and welcoming because of that, and also the crime is super low because people are just I don't want to say just like good when they're born because of their religion, but they're just I think they have a bigger moral compass. Like they know what's good and bad, and I'm
Mhm.
sure with I could you pronounce that religion again? Shamanism?
Shamanism.
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 Shamanism. It's
Mhm.
and I believe that religion, shamanism, is also the same thing. Um, yeah, with those rituals again, like praying for something again with the test, like 100 days before, hopefully I get an A. Then 100 days after, I got an A. So
Yeah.
it is really interesting, really interesting. And I've heard crazy things also going a little bit to the education. That Koreans study a lot, like they
Yeah.
live for school.
Yeah. Like I talk about this topic in my class, and my students like always like it seems like so surprised, and like it seems like they can't believe it. We spent I don't know about nowadays, but when I was in high school, I spent like so I went to school 7 a.m. and I came back like 10 or 11. So
At
it's like eight
night.
hours, right? So yeah. 11 at night.
Go
Jesus
back 10
Christ.
at night.
10
What?
or 11. Some kids going back after midnight. That's
Nah,
super
that's
common in
crazy.
Korea.
How
That's
many
Yeah.
hours
crazy.
do you sleep?
How do you
3 hours.
Not 3
What?
hours. I slept pretty a lot. Yeah, I slept pretty a lot. I wasn't a good student, but yeah, like 5, 6 hours. And every time I wake up, I just like to kill myself. Especially in winter,
It's
like the
crazy.
outside is so dark, and I was wearing my uniform, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't want to. I don't want to live. Something like that. Yeah,
That is
but I heard it's
crazy.
much better now, though.
They're just
Okay,
living at
I'm
school, you
glad.
know.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Man,
That's
I was
crazy.
just thinking if they did a test day in Portugal with like a Korean education day, like study like Korea for one day, I don't think they could do it. I think the Portuguese people would riot, the kids would riot, and they would just storm out of the class. That's crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
Seriously, all students should come to Korea just for a week. And when they like go back to their country, they will appreciate their home country.
Their education. I completely believe that.
Hmm.
My God. Oh my God. I remember even talking to someone from Korea, and she said that also the parents make a lot of pressure into getting into a good college and getting the good grades for that college and all of that. So there's a little bit of too much pressure even
Hmm.
for the people to then get the good grades, and that goes with a lot of studying, staying extra hours in school, as you said. But
Hmm.
that
Yeah, that's
completely destroys a person.
well,
I can
that's really
imagine.
true. Yeah, that's true, and that's a sad part and ugly side of Korea, maybe because actually there's a high rate of suicide on
Mm,
teenagers or early 20s because of that, because of the pressure on good life and because of the pressure of getting good grades. But we should understand what's behind the that phenomenon, right? So about Korean history, there was a really big development in a very short time. We were very poor until 50 years ago, but between 50 years ago, we grew up so fast, and now we are one of the developed country maybe. And
yeah.
yeah, like between this 50 years, we worked so hard. And what our parents, that's what uh, shape our parents' mindset. You got to work hard. That's the way you survive in this society. So back to 50 years ago, everyone was poor. Some of the people, they couldn't even afford living and they were, starving. But after 50 years, almost, yeah, that's not really happening. I wouldn't say not happening. There's a also dark side of a society. So there
Hmm.
are people, obviously, but much less. And we have very kind of secure society and social system. So we have developed the society very fast in a very fast pace. And I think this like fever about the education and fever about the getting into a good college or getting a good job, like something like that, is a side effect of
Yeah, of the
the
fast, like
yeah, the fast
growing in such a fast
development.
paced way, for sure.
Of course. Hmm.
Because there was less trial and error to see what works and what doesn't work, since it was so fast. And my dad
Hmm.
actually told me all about South Korea's history. Like, it was so poor. That's why kimchi even existed. It was what poor people ate,
Yeah.
because it was filling and it was hot, and Korea is quite cold. So that's why kimchi, that's what he told me, at least started as. Then it now becomes like such a big meal and a big staple for Korea. But
Maybe that was a different food because kimchi is just a fermented salad. So we that's not a poor people's food, but there's something like that. It's not kimchi, but it's called
mm,
a budae, which is like a mixed stew, but with all the
yeah,
spam and other ingredients from the army, U.S. Army camp. and it's
Yes,
kind of
that, yes.
popular right now. But yeah, it's a hot, and you can make it with everything, with anything, especially with spam, with ham. You know, that's a very cheap
Mhm.
food in the
Mm-hmm.
States, but in Korea, it's still popular and it's pretty expensive. Anyway, yeah, there's a food. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
great.
now let's actually get into
Yeah,
the food
Korean
because I
food.
mean,
I love
Korean
it.
barbecue again with globalization became insanely popular everywhere. Korean restaurants all around
Yeah.
Europe, Africa, even counting as South Africa. My God, I will say in comparison to Japan and China, there's something I would say about Korean barbecue. It has insane variety, and insane variety in
Yeah.
terms of the dishes themselves. They're completely different dishes. Like I remember looking at menus from Korean barbecue, and each dish had a completely different name, and the dish itself was like nothing like the other. It was everything was so different. Whereas like in Chinese restaurants, normally the dishes are kind of similar. But in Korean barbecue, I could go to the same restaurant like 50 times and I
Yeah.
still
You
wouldn't have
taste a different
tasted like
dish.
all of the different dishes they had in the menu.
Yeah. Not only the barbecue, I mean the meals itself. I mean, it's pretty good. In Brazil, it's not that famous, Korean restaurants, but there are a few. There is one close to my place actually. I've
Mhm.
been there 5 or 6 times. I and still,
That's a lot.
yeah, still I'm
There's a
trying
lot of
to.
Korean population in Brazil, though,
Yeah, I guess in the south might be
in
because here
South.
in Rio, yeah, here in Rio, it's crazy because when I went to Europe, people were asking me, "Oh, you're from Rio. You might seen lots of tourists right there and kind of stuff." But no, actually no. I haven't seen lots of tourists and lots of people from around the world right here. And it's basically because okay, I don't live, close to the, city center and close to Copacabana and to the main tourist places. But still, even there, when I go there, I don't spot a lot actually. But still, yeah, come back to the Korean restaurants. Oh, amazing food! What an amazing food! And I like it spicy. I love it spicy. So, in my opinion, it's one of the best foods of the world for real. I mean,
Yeah. Like, if I'm being honest with you guys, I didn't really think Korean food is that amazing because that's what I've been having, you know? So I took
Since
it for
ever.
granted
yeah,
until
yeah.
I moved to, this country or
Abroad,
until I moved to another country. Um, yeah, we have really variety of food, which is great. And yeah, I think Korean cuisine is one of the best cuisines in the world. Now I can say that. And it's pretty healthy too. I'm proud of that part because I lived in Mexico for a year. I love Mexican food. I love it. Really love it. If I pick like one of the best food in the world, I would definitely pick, other than Korean, I would definitely pick a Mexican food. But
yeah,
in
it's pretty
terms
tasty.
of a variety or um, like healthy,
Yeah, Mexican
let's
food's not
be
healthy.
honest. Yeah,
Not
it's
at
like
all.
I gain weight so much. Yeah, so Mexico, it's super delicious, but about the healthy,
They're
yeah. So, but for
not
Korean
there
food,
yet.
it's
Yeah, it's hard to
yeah,
imagine
the
having
Korean,
this
yeah.
Mexican food every single day. In Korea, you
No,
can
it's
imagine
super
having.
happy.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. But Korean food, it's delicious and it can be bad. Well, it depends on the recipe. So I wouldn't say it's 100% good, healthy. It's not like that. That would be a bullshit. But no, in general, yeah, we're pretty healthy meals, and that's a good part of our food culture, I think.
Now that you talked a little bit about that, I've never like thought that South America in general and Central has like really good food. Maybe besides Chile and Argentina, but besides those two, I think it has really good food, but it's generally not really that healthy. I would say maybe even Brazil is the healthiest one
yeah. We
in
got lots of
in South
vegetables right
America
here, fruits.
because of
Yeah,
feijoada. I think it's quite a healthy food. Like it's a
feijoada. It
nice
isn't,
food.
bro.
It isn't.
Actually, Yeah, there
Feijoada
are
in Portugal is
lots of
healthy. Hey,
fat in
Is
their
it
feijoada
healthy? Is Portuguese food healthy?
I think so, especially in the south because it's based on fish and seafood,
fish. Yeah.
and it's based on the English word would be purees, yeah. Whereas in the north is a little bit more towards the fat, the yeah, like the fat stews like feijoada. We have that as well. A different
Hmm.
take, but kind of similar. But yeah. I would say Portugal is a healthy country. We do use a lot of olive oil. That depends if you consider it healthy or not, but we just put a ton of it in
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
We love olive oil.
I
But
told you I went to Portugal one time, and the only dish I remember right now is that fatty sandwich. What's it called
the
again?
Francesinha. Yeah,
he didn't even need to think too much. It's
yeah.
francesinha, yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
It's
north
fucking
dish. That's
fat. Yeah, it's the North
completely
dish.
different. Yeah, it's a north dish.
Okay.
Completely fat.
But
That is probably the
delicious.
most unhealthy dish in Portugal,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also so good.
Yeah, it's
So
fucking
good.
Yeah.
delicious. I
But it's
love it.
something you eat like once every a month. Once a month, I think.
Yeah, it's
Once a month, that's too much
yeah,
for me.
yeah, it's I've
Oh,
met a friend from the north. He eats this every single week after work. He
every
just go to
single
the
week.
restaurant. Yeah, people from Porto, bro.
Damn.
That's
They
wild.
do eat francesinhas a lot. As a
I
dinner,
ate
actually.
that and I ate that and I'm full for 3 days. I kid you not. I
Yeah,
still
me
remember the
either.
last
Me
time. It's
either.
full for 3 days. Oh my
I
god.
don't eat a lot, so yeah, for me it's lots of food, lot of.
Um, Young, tell me what do you think is like the Korean dish that people just have to eat if they go to Korea or if they have a nearby Korean restaurant close to their homes? What do you think is like the must dish
My
that
favorite is
kind of
bimbap.
resembles
Bimbap. I love it.
bimbap?
Bibimbap? Is it bibimbap?
Yeah, I love it.
That literally means mixed rice with um with a lot of vegetables and a
Yeah,
little bit of meat, maybe a little bit of
there is an egg in the
chili
plate.
paste and fried egg sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's a really hard question, though. There's
Hmm.
nothing like, oh, okay, you should try this. Like, for example, about Chile, I'm living in Chile right now. So about Chile, if you come to Chile, people can recommend others like, yeah, try choclo or try completo. This is a must-eat food in Chile, right? But in Korea, I don't think there's a one thing that you must try because we have too many good things. It's
Yeah.
impossible to pick
Yeah,
only one, and it probably
yeah.
depends on your palate. So I don't know.
No, I completely understand. Again with that restaurant close to my home in South Africa, like the menu was so big and each food was delicious. Like I wanted to eat the same food as last time, but I was like, no, I gotta try something new. And that something new was as delicious as the last one. So absolutely. I would say just go with your finger in the menu and then just close your eyes and then just pick the thing that your
Well,
finger
bring Korean friends. That will help you.
or make some
Yeah.
Korean friends
Hmm.
and go to
Also,
the restaurant
so
with
those
them.
Koreans, these restaurants nearby my place, they are Koreans actually. Koreans, they barely speak Portuguese actually. They try na, and they're so cute. They're recommending lots of dishes every single day I go there. They very cute. They're very cute, and it's all about
But
the
I can
spices. The
actually,
spices they use, they're pretty good.
yeah, the
Pretty good.
spices.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's different. And I think it just came to my mind. I can actually recommend just one food that maybe everyone will like. It's called bulgogi. It's a marinated beef, but with a little bit of veggies and yeah, beef. But it's like a sweet, um, but it's not spicy. But it's sweet and yeah, savory. It's very delicious. It goes
Mhm.
really well with rice, hot steamed rice. So you'll love it. I never met someone who says I don't like bulgogi. It's like all everyone's favorite.
And it's also one of the most well known, I would say, because
Bulgogi,
yeah, bulgogi, delicious. Oh my god, I actually I have to find a Korean restaurant here. Did you find any? I think you told me there's a Korean street. I don't remember if it was you, but the
Patronato.
Patronat. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
mostly
in
Korean, or is it
Patronato.
Asia in general?
Oh, no. Actually, the name of the street is Seoul because there is a Korean population there and a lot of
Mm,
Korean people live there. So it's, well, mixed Asian something, but mainly Korean. And actually, I
amazing.
plan to go to a Korean restaurant after this, but I'm not sure about it. There are a few Korean restaurants, and I can recommend you some because I have some students who work at Korean restaurants,
Oh,
and
very cool.
yeah,
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yes, please. After the podcast.
yeah.
Actually, let's talk about like what you actually do, because I remember vaguely, but I remember it's something to do with teaching and university. But what is it
Mhm.
specifically?
I teach Korean to Chilean students.
Ah, very cool.
Korean to Chilean students. And is it a part of their curriculums, or do they choose as like an extra thing outside of school? So it belongs to their
It
course.
mhm. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with their course, their major, but it's just out of it. So it's a just an institute by the Korean government, and
Mm.
it's just located in the university. Of course, it's supported by the university, but it's out of the course. So all the students who are in the class, they are yeah, they just wanted it, so they are taking it.
Oh, amazing. And
Mm.
how did you end up in Chile?
So I lived in Mexico for a year, and after coming back from Mexico, I spent like a 3 months in Korea. And when I was there, uh, I happened to find this job, and I applied for it. I didn't think that I would get it because I didn't really I thought there are so many better competitors than me because
Mm.
I have a kind of zero experiences with teaching. I study art theory, by the way. I study art, and that's what I
Oh,
did in
amazing.
Mexico. Mm-mm. So I did art, but I had a certificate for the teaching Korean. I got it when I was in university. So I just applied for it, and well, yeah, I got it. So I'm here in Chile.
Congratulations.
And how
Amazing.
is the experience been going? Do you have many students? Do they like the classes?
They
How is the whole
love,
thing?
yeah, hopefully they love it. And I really love it. It's every day I feel so different. So to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed at um the place that I am in right now when I just got here because it was so different from what I thought. I was in Mexico, so I thought it was my ignorance, but I thought that all kind of, yeah, Chile would be similar to Mexico,
Mhm.
but that was completely wrong.
Mhm.
I was, yeah, I was wrong. So I was kind of, yeah, disappointed or depressed a little bit. Also, the weather affected a little bit because now Chile is getting more chill, right? So,
Too
um,
chill. Too
yeah,
chilled.
yeah,
I don't
too
like
chill,
it.
too chill. I mean, neither. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But anyway, but I really appreciate the value that this country has, and I really love the people. I love meeting my students, and I'm really enjoying my life here.
That's nice. Every time that I talk to a teacher, they always say like the best part of the job is just the fulfillment, because you are basically educating and improving in a way like younger people's lives. You're a role model for a lot of them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
super fulfilling to have them learn this new language,
From
which
you.
is very, very hard for someone who's Spanish speaking or even European speaking. Like any Asian language is super, super hard for us. So to see them be able to write and talk in such a nice way, your language must be really, really fulfilling. So yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, there's so much frustration for me because, as you guys know, Korean and Spanish are so different. It's one of the like a farce
Polar opposites,
language.
yeah.
Totally
Yeah,
opposite.
that exists. So whenever I teach my students, I'm like, hey guys, I've been talking about this like throughout the whole semester, not even on this class, but I've been talking to you this, and you still don't get it. But I need to be patient. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I always do it. Like, okay, I will not get mad at this point, and I'm practicing. And actually, that really helps. They are helping me with my Spanish as well. I make
Mm.
kind of funny mistakes in a class a lot. And yeah, I'm enjoying the journey though. And about teaching and about the students, what's special or what's interesting about Chilean students is unlike the students in other South American countries, students here are their age, their average age is pretty high. So when you go to another country in South America, mostly they're in their teenage or early 20s, no more than that. But here in Chile, there are a
Mhm.
lot of yeah, it's like so different. One student is like 16, 17, but one other student is like in her 60 or yes,
Yeah,
50. So
What?
many, yeah,
it
I didn't
so
know.
happens. It
diverse.
happens a lot here in South America.
Hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
basically because of the economics. Because people like back in the days didn't have the opportunity to, go to school or get to learn a new language, for example. And nowadays they do because the economic is a bit better. Chile and Brazil are perfectly examples for this. And back in the days, we used to struggle a lot, and nowadays we are both the best countries right here in South America. Brazil's the biggest economic is right here, and then following Chile is the second one. So yeah, basically because of it. I mean, people are just getting more opportunity. So back in the days, they didn't have the opportunity to go to school, to go to the university and learn a new language, and now they have money and resources to do things.
I
Basically,
really
Amazing.
respect them.
yeah,
Respect the, people who try to learn something new at the age of like 50 or 60. Of course, they're slow learners because of, it's not as easy as it was before.
yeah,
But I really respect them.
Absolutely. Like not having studied for years and years and years and then going back to studying
Mhm.
must be such a like difficult to adjust because again the
yeah.
education system is absolutely different than it was like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And their will and drive to learn that new language, maybe it couldn't even be for their jobs, it could just be for pure pleasure, culture, being more cultured.
Yeah.
Is obviously deserves a lot of respect for sure. And going back to Korea a little bit, also with the media, something that is very, very popular. And I don't know if it started in South Korea, maybe it didn't, but the mukbangs. Like
Oh
this is
yeah,
a niche, but I don't even think
that's
it's a
a
niche.
Korean. That's a Korean word,
Yeah,
mukbang, which means yeah, eating
eating while
eating
talking to
show.
the camera in a way, like having a conversation. So the word is Korean. So I'm yeah, it started in Korea.
Mhm.
And it's insane. Like the foods that people eat, not just that, but how popular it got. And it generated this
Mhm.
new age of YouTube content in a way. And and yeah, all came from Korea. But man,
Mhm.
those really, really weird foods, like the craziest ones are always like the seafood ones, like the live octopus or the very big clams with the
Yeah.
sauces. Oh, it's
It wasn't like that actually. The way so as I remember how it started was so there was a BJ, right? BJ is a people who do live streaming on
mm,
YouTube or some other video platform, and they started eating in front of a cam, in front of the monitor, because they were doing live. And many people watch that because there are a lot of people in a lot of 20s who lives in Seoul or other cities, being apart from their family. So they live alone. They're lonely people who live by themselves. So they eat together while watching that eating show. It
Hmm.
wasn't an eating show when it started, but
Hmm.
it got popular, so many people started watching it. So many people started doing it as well, and it got more dramatic with live octopus or like gigantic, like a food or huge amount of food, something like that. Yeah, but where it started, I think it was yeah,
No, yeah,
because
that's a
I
beautiful concept.
yeah,
What did you just
uh-huh.
explain? Being alone
Uh,
and
yeah.
and eating alone is horrible, especially if you like horrible in the sense of like always doing it. It's all obviously
Mhm.
always more fun to have someone around and having that concept of watching another person eat, but eating with you, and it's like you're having that
Mhm.
conversation with them. I think that's a really really beautiful concept, and obviously that's how it got popular and how it worked. But
I never saw this.
you
Just
never saw mukbangs? Wow.
no, never, man. I'm just
I
hearing
only
this.
saw them when they went to the West, right, to North America, and they started also doing the mukbangs. But then I dived a little bit deeper, and yeah, I found it was from Korea.
And maybe I'm thinking of this right now too. Maybe this is just a point that you guys can hear from the point of, you know, Korean girl in her 20. A lot of Korean girl women, they're having eating disorder. This is really sad
Really?
part of our society. Yeah, because we have really high beauty standard. So a lot of people, well, it's
Mhm.
getting better now, but even I had it. And so a lot of women, they feel uncomfortable with eating. They think something eating is not something that's be enjoyed, or they always have that kind of regulation with themselves with eating. But by watching other people eating food, they get their needs on the food
Fulfill.
get fulfilled. So I think that was also one of the core reason of the population of mukbang.
That's an amazing topic
Wow, they
because
get filled with like virtual eating in a
yeah,
way.
Yeah, yeah.
just seeing
Because
people.
I'm
Yeah,
on a diet, so I can't eat that giant food. I can't eat that like a big ramen or that food. But oh, that looks so good. But I'm just eating the chicken and a sweet potato or something like that. But I'm watching it, so oh yeah, I'm happy. Something like that. Yeah.
Wow, but you made a great point with cosmetics because I also read a little bit about and more so on the insecurities that many Korean girls have because of this whole world. And I've also read that it's super usual for Korean girls and boys to have plastic surgeries,
Mm-hmm.
which is very uncommon
in Asia, right?
in Europe. Usually when people do it,
Mm-hmm.
it's more um noses. I would say it's kind of popular. Usually if you really have a big nose, or if it's curved, or if you went on a boxing match and you broke your nose, you do like the rhino plastic thingy. But usually the faces, it's insanely common. But in South Korea, I even read it's encouraged. Even you may even be able to speak a little bit about this part.
Yeah, it's super common. So when I was in middle school, there were some girls who got their double eyelid surgery during the
Middle
vacation,
school.
during the summer vacation, and a lot
That's
of
pretty
people,
fresh,
yeah, get plastic
very
surgery.
early.
So, yeah, it's very early, right? I heard that it's even getting earlier right now. So a lot of teenagers in like who's in elementary school, they even get it. It's crazy. But
Yeah,
people
of
think
course. If
that your appearance and your look is one of the things that makes you more competitive among other, people. Of course, it's true in some way. I wouldn't say it's not that's not true at all. But yeah, we had kind of obsession or what. So yeah, we have that kind of fever. But I
is
think it's well, I'm not sure about it, but in the States or even in Brazil is also
Yeah,
known for
Brazil
high
is
population
high.
getting a
It's
plastic
crazy.
surgery.
And right
Yeah. But
here,
about
it's
the body or face,
yeah, for real. I mean,
mhm.
totally. I mean, people are just changing. you know. There is this girl, this singer Anita.
Just changing. They
Yeah,
gotta
they're
become
just,
a whole different person.
yeah, they're just not themselves anymore. You know, there is this singer Anita. If you got a picture of her right now and then you look 10 years ago, it's a totally different person. It's crazy. They're just what modified. And I guess the pop culture right here are actually a high influence on it. There is a high influence on it. I'm not sure if it's because of pop, this trend right there in South Korea. And once again, bringing the globalization to our podcast. And but it's very interesting topic you've brought right here, because if you think about the other Asian countries, for example, Japan or China, Thailand, Philippines, it isn't that common, you know, plastic surgeries right there in the other countries. But if you just think about South Korea, it's increasing a lot. And if this, you know, topic that you brought, that kids are just doing, you know, middle schools, they're kids. Come on, they're kids, and they're just
10
changing
year
their
olds,
bodies. Yeah,
12
10
year
years old,
olds.
man, and that's insane, you know.
For us, right? For us,
Yeah,
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 I
for
mean,
me
living in
too.
Europe.
yeah, for everybody, I
Yeah,
guess,
Yeah,
man,
for
for
me
everybody,
too.
for the society, you know, for the world.
as
Yeah, I think, well, it's that's very interesting topic. I think, well, one of the thing is Korea is very, very small society. So there is a trend every time, and like, it's such a small country. So there is a trend, and everyone knows that trend. It's almost impossible to get out of trend. And we like to share. It's a kind of, yeah, trait of Korean people. They like to have the same thought, and they like to have the same point of view. It's very interesting. It's unlike the European country or states. I think you guys like to think somewhat different ways, but I
differently.
think Korean people nowadays, younger people,
For
they're having different thoughts on this. But back to 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when I grew up, when you spot people who find a little bit different than other people, they are someone who's crazy or is out of the standards. So there's a standard, and there is a criteria, like a range of
hmm
being normal, and range if you get out of it, you're a little bit unusual, and you're a little bit yeah, a little bit different. And so there's a, yeah, that's funny and interesting. So I look totally Korean, but if I go to Korea, then people ask me if I am Korean and where am I from. Yeah, I was a tour guide once in Busan, my city, and when I went there as a tour guide, other tourists asked me like, "Where am I from?" So they didn't think that I am
Really?
their tour
Korean.
guide, you know,
That's
because
crazy.
Korean has a kind of, yeah, like a same
hmm
makeup style or other appearance. Yeah.
I,
So I think we have very identity, like identical. Yeah.
I always praise the difference. I always praise people to be the black sheep, because that's what I always
Yeah,
grew up on.
for sure.
Be different. I never cared. Listen, I'm the most nerdy person ever, and I embrace it. I'm always talking about Star Wars, Ghostbusters, whatever it is, just all the nerdy stuff, and I love it. I always tell people just to be themselves, and dope people will come based on that, because again, that
Yeah.
talks authenticity and being genuine. Um, and yeah, I would advocate now, as soon as I meet another Korean person, be the black sheep.
Yeah.
Don't be the white
No,
sheep.
for you. I mean that's how we should be free, you know. We have to be whoever we want. And the only thing that scares me about those surgeries is the healthy stuff, you know, because there is, I mean, she can speak a way better, you know, than me and Guilherme, because it's, you know, she's a girl. And I mean, those surgeries, I mean, it's just having a pattern. you know, you have a partner of this girl, of this, you know, beauty girl, and you want to follow this partner. And this scares a lot, you know. You just want to be, you know, change your nose, change your boobs, change your body right here in Brazil. That's insane, you know. We see kids doing surgeries with 10, 12 years old. This scares a lot. You know, it's been different, you know, by yourself, but don't change your body. Don't do surgeries for changing yourself as your kid. That's what I wanted to say, because
And I
there's
think
this
even
beauty
crazier than the
partner
body
of being,
parts.
yeah,
Yeah, no, even crazier than the body parts is just a face, because that's you. Like, I get why girls want to increase their boobs. It's absolutely fine.
yeah,
Like, but face, that's you. That's
yeah,
you.
that's you, man.
What's the
You know,
And
difference between the
that
body and face then?
yeah, bro,
I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
for
That's
me, it's just
kind of
if I meet someone, like
kind
if
of
I meet a girl and
paradox.
maybe she increases her boobs, it's like, oh, that's dope. That's dope. But if she changes her face, I'm like, what? That's insane. You were,
What's
I
the
don't
That's the
know.
difference?
same,
I
man.
don't
That's
get
the
it.
same,
Maybe
man. There is no
maybe it isn't.
difference,
Maybe
man.
it isn't. Maybe I'm reaching, but but yeah, just the face is crazy.
But I think
Um,
that trend is also changing because that reason, because that kind of regulation or suppression under our society. A lot of young people is trying to be unique, trying to find their own color, and
hmm,
I think that's really beautiful. And
Yeah,
so because of that, the trend of plastic surgery maybe it's changing too. I never get interested in that part, so I don't really know about it that much, but I think I heard that it's not only in Korea, but in everywhere in the world, there are many
hmm.
people. So back to like 20 years ago, people always bring a piece of photo of the celebrity. So they ask a doctor,
yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to be like this person.
Hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, I heard that people take a selfie and, the edited version of selfie and bring it to them
Yeah,
and
Instagram
say it.
filters. Yeah,
Yeah, I like to be this version of me. Well, it's changing, right? It's not even now. It's not a different person, but a better me. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's changing.
No, for sure. And I think you are right. I think back people used to, I mean, nowadays yes as well, but people used to really look up to celebrities even more. I remember like back then, you had not Rihanna, but you had especially in America, I forgot their names, but I think people would like, also with haircuts, go to a barber and ask, "Oh, I want to have the George Clooney haircut or the Brad Pitt haircut." But nowadays, I think it's a little bit different. I think also with technology, they can just like, okay, I just want this cut, and then it's a picture of me, but not me. It's just me with some filters. So I think that is a little bit better, I would say, and it goes into, I think it's evolving into a better place with that. Um, I forgot the point that I was going with this, but 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 yeah, it's getting better that way, as you said. So I'm happy for it,
no,
and
for
I'm here
sure,
for it.
for sure. Guys, we're just reaching the end of our podcast. It's been quite fast, this conversation, this amazing conversation with Heeyoung. She totally teacher. She's a teacher, so
Yeah,
she
she,
taught.
she literally taught us this whole
Yeah,
episode.
she
I'm
taught lots of
happy.
stuff for us, you know, during this podcast. But before ending up our episode, Guilherme does a question every single episode. So feel free, buddy. The path is free
Of
for you.
course, of course. Just before I ask this question, this is a very quick one, but what is the thing that you're missing the most of South
Yeah,
Korea, or the thing that you
that's a cool one.
wanna do right away as soon as you go back to South Korea, maybe for a couple of weeks, month, maybe even living there?
Oh well, first of all, I miss my friends. So I miss like just hitting up my friends and like, hey, let's go out. And I like,
Mhm.
I like to go this with you, or yeah, I miss my friends the most. But actually, the other day I saw was it a video or picture? But I saw a video of a sauna. We have really big sauna culture. This is something that I also want to talk
Hmm,
about. But
for sure.
it feels so amazing. So I want to, especially in this weather, I really love to go to sauna.
I love
Amazing.
saunas. Problem is in
Mhm.
Europe, they're so expensive.
Oh
So
yeah.
expensive and very, yeah, they're not that accessible in the south of Europe, especially not much. If you go to the Netherlands, they're very popular, or
Yeah,
to
Finland. Finland
Germany.
is the capital of sauna, right?
Yeah, of course, the Scandinavian countries. But the
Mm.
problem is for them, it could be accessible in terms of money wise. But for me from Portugal, that's crazy expensive. So I never really went to saunas that much. But every time that I went to one, I really enjoyed it. And it's really
Yeah, in
healthy as
Korea,
well.
it only costs like $10, nothing more than that. It's like a paradise.
Amazing.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, you were talking about going out, just this topic, because I think South Korea kind of is a bit different than other Asian countries also in this, the night culture and the going out, like
Oh
being
yeah.
able to drink outside on public transportation, the festivals that you guys have there, so much thing. Like the going out is absolutely different than any other Asian country, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest difference between where I live and Korea
Hmm.
is, of course, safety. Yeah, that's something that's the most
Yeah.
important, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
also, yeah, it's pretty safe compared to Latin America's, of course. But other than safety, we also have a big night culture, and that's, yeah, we are pretty crazy people. We're crazy about about like,
Drinking.
well, we
I've heard
have
it's a
really,
very big
yeah,
drinking
we have a
country. Yeah.
really big karaoke culture. Every people can sing. I think most of Korean people can sing. We like to
Oh, cool.
dance,
Amazing.
and yeah, we're a pretty fun country to, yeah,
To
yeah, live
party.
or hang out. Yeah, to party.
All
Cool.
right, good statement. If you guys want to party, South Korea, it is. Asia, let's go. I love it. All right, last question. Yes, yes. Let's go to the end question. So, Young, if I would say, what is the thing that makes you the most proud about being from Korea? What would you say? Like when you talk to your students, obviously you're teaching Korean, so they know you're from Korea, but imagine they didn't know and you would say, I'm from Korea. What would be the thing that followed that to kind of for them to understand what Korea means to you? What would you say?
Why Korea means to me, I
Mm.
think more than others, there's where Korea is where I am from, where my families are, and where shaped my personality and who made who I am right now. So I'm not, no, I'm not talking, I'm not saying that Korea is such a beautiful country or it's just like,
Mm.
paradise utopia. It's
Hmm.
not like that, never.
Mm.
But I'm appreciative who I am right now, and Korea is the one that shaped me in this way. So I am appreciate. Yeah, I'm appreciative of it.
For sure.
Hmm.
Really, it's
Yeah.
our earth, you know. When you're abroad, we always miss our home, you know. You're just homesick every time we go abroad. So that's
Hmm.
a very beautiful statement, actually. When I was in Europe, fuck, I when I was in Brazil, actually, before going traveling abroad, I didn't care so much, you know, to be this patriot guy from Brazil and kind of stuff. But then when I step in Europe, when I've been to Poland, 2 years living in Poland, I became the most Brazilian guy ever, you know, because I was just
I
homesick.
know, yeah.
I was just homesick and I was missing everything about my
You always
country.
need a distance to see,
Yeah,
to appreciate it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens the same with me. But it's really good to project also your culture, so other people can also understand like how you behave, how what the things you really like. I love to talk about Portugal. You know, obviously Portugal has many bad things in terms of like government and all that,
yeah.
but we
Brazil
also have
either,
really
man.
good things, especially in the south. I always talk about the south as if it's kind of different from the rest of Portugal because again, it's my place, and
Yeah, appreciation,
our
man.
beaches, islands that we have there, and the food culture again is a little bit different than the rest of the country with the fish, with the seafood, and the people really, and just the whole landscapes that we have that are so unique in the south. So I think it's like almost mandatory for whenever you're abroad. Obviously, integrate into the culture that you're in, but also project a little bit of your own, so that it
Sure.
becomes a melting pot.
For you.
and there's a little bit for everyone.
It's going to help you to meet
Sure.
other people too. So
Yeah.
for sure.
And it kind of also makes you different than others. Again, with the black sheep talk, it makes
Yeah.
you kind of unique
Yeah.
in a way when you like talk with
You're
passion
always a
about your
unique
country.
one. Yeah, when you're abroad, you're always like a special one, right?
Yeah. Everyone wants to know everything about your country, so you're just
Sure.
always talking
Yeah.
about
For real.
the favorite things. Oh, amazing.
Amazing. Ian, thank you so much for being part of our podcast and accepting the invitation
Yes.
one more time. And wow, what an amazing guest we had this afternoon, night, or morning, depends when you guys are listening to this podcast.
Oh, it's
Thank you
getting
so
dark
much.
right now.
Yeah.
It's sundown.
It's getting
It's
dark.
sundown.
Yeah.
So,
No, amazing. So to our guests, thank you for reaching until the end. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcast WWP. Oh my god, I almost forgot. At Podcast WWP. And now leave us a review on Spotify and
yeah,
Apple
share.
Podcasts.
Yeah, for
Leave us
sure.
that
Share the
review.
content.
Tell us
Yeah,
what
go
you
guys.
think you enjoyed
Help
the most
us.
about South Korea. For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Okay.
No, but
Thank
amazing,
you. It
guys.
was really fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me today.
Of course. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
See
Goodbye.
you, dears.